Transformers Prime Soundwave said he wanted to read the bio for Beast Hunter Soundwave, so alright, take it away. Yeah, go ahead and cue the intro.
Soundwave, a fanatic henchman of mighty Megatron who patrols the skies in search of the Autobot enemy. That's the best they could come up with?
Welcome back, eBEFOREi Video Reviews, here with a review of Transformers Prime Beast Hunters Soundwave. Now, this is the second Transformers Prime Soundwave that we've gotten, this one being the first, but this one is a little bit different, and so I'm kind of excited to get this guy open. Now, the original Soundwave did not get a lot of love from me on my shelf over the last several months, but we'll see if maybe this changes that. One of the biggest changes, Ravage minifigure included. That's cool, so we'll see how neat that is. Box review real quick, little piece of maybe animation, maybe not. Highly photoshopped if not. Got tech specs here. Soundwave strength is an 8, intelligence a 10. Speed is a 6, endurance a 5, rank an 8, courage 4, fire blast 6, and skill a 9. He's Deluxe Class Series 2, Figure 2. Little picture of Soundwave. Hi! On the back, you've got Talon Grapple Cannon. Okay, not sure what that is, but maybe we'll find out. And on the other side, you have nothing. On the bottom, they want to sell you 3 more figures, Bumblebee, Wheeljack, and Laserback, all coming to an eBEFOREi channel near you. Actually, these 2 are already there. This one's coming real soon. That's the box. Let's get the figure opened up and see whether or not he's cool or not. Alright, so here's Soundwave opened up out of the box, and I must say, I think this guy looks pretty cool. I think he actually looks a little bit better than that one, I think. Let me see. Yeah, I'm going to say that for now. So you know Soundwave, if you have the first version, the RID version from Transformers Prime, you kind of know what you're getting here. There are some differences, and I will say that this figure, you know, kind of like the Wheeljack figure that I recently reviewed, suffers from a little bit of maybe mold or joint degradation. A little bit looser than I remember in my original figure when he was brand new. But you know, other than that, this is a very interesting look, and not everybody's going to love this. I mean, the colors, not everybody's going to love these colors. As you can see, he's got yellow in odd places. He's got a pair of yellow sneakers. Air Jordans? I don't know, but it's yellow. He's got the yellow knee pads and yellow plastic inside of the arms. I'm not sure that I get that, but I do think the yellow on the head crest is cool, and you know, he's got yellow on that part. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty neat. He's all beasted up. Beasted? He's beasted up. He's got these gold spikes right there, and that's pretty neat. In fact, there's quite a bit of retooling on this figure. The one thing that I absolutely love, I'm a huge fan of Autobot and Decepticon symbols on figures, and this version of Soundwave has not just the one on his shoulder, but another on the other shoulder. Bam! So that's very, very cool. Now, you've probably also noticed that the chest looks a bit different than the way that it used to, and that's because instead of Laserbeak, we have Ravage. And Ravage sits up here really neat. Now, I will say about the RID figure is that I had to mod this, and you probably did too, to where you took this little guy right back here and you flipped it around so that you could get his head to kind of prop up and give him some more height and not have him all hunched over like that. So that looked good on this figure. On this one, you don't really need to do that, because what happens is Ravage is sitting right there on the chest, and he's got this silver piece that fits right up into his chin, and it props his head up very nicely. So I'm quite a fan of the way that looks. Now, to transform Ravage, you just pop him onto the chest. You see the head kind of flop down when I did that. But you pop out Ravage, and literally all you do is you take these front feet and you bring them down, and then you take the back legs and you kind of squeeze them closer together, and that's it. He's transformed. End of story. Ravage is kind of cute, if that's what you want in a Ravage. He's got a nice face sculpt. So no complaints there, and cool silver paint on his back, and some in-plastic molding. There is underneath Ravage. Let's see if he has teeth. Yep, he's got his little fangs there. So that's pretty cool, but this guy's really small. I'll show you next to Soundwave. So as you can see, he's really, really, really tiny. Size comparison to Laserbeak. And, yeah, you know, get my hand out of the camera. They're about the same size. Of course, the wings are a bit longer on Laserbeak, but, you know, they're about in the same scale. So if you have this version, you kind of know what to expect. Now, some people have been asking, can Laserbeak fit inside of Beast Hunter's Soundwave's chest? And the answer is, yes it does. And it doesn't look bad. You know, the colors don't really clash because the color in Laserbeak is the same color on the inner parts of these arms. So, yeah, works out pretty well. Now, interestingly enough, the directions show that Ravage's legs should be up. And I can see that that is indeed the intention. I mean, it fits there quite nicely. Now, the back of the box, you know how often they photograph these things incorrectly. They have it down, so you can put it any way you want. But what you have is some hollow bits here. And if you put these legs up, it kind of fills in that gap, and it gives him more of a kind of an expanded chest. So I like that quite a bit. Soundwave's face up close is really, really nice. I like the paint on this a lot. So he's got this gold crest, kind of yellow paint here, and a sparkly inner visor, which looks amazing. And he's got some gray bits underneath, and yeah, the head sculpt on this figure looks fantastic. Soundwave also comes with this weapon, which actually, you know, is kind of unique. And the thing that I really like about it is that it comes with its own story. So in the instructions, the Talon grapple cannon snares and instantly disables targets. All right, cool. Data filaments drain information from grappled subjects and powerful enough to crush most subjects after data drain. That's pretty neat. And in fact, while I have the instructions in hand, if you want to read the extended bio, you can pause the screen now. Just don't forget to unpause it. So the weapon pegs onto his arm. Now there's a couple different ways that this can peg onto the arm. You can put it the way that I had it, with the short little stubby bit right here, or you can take this longer piece and put it in, but that looks pretty terrible because it points this weapon out at a very odd angle, and his hands never really come close. So at least the other way, you kind of hug it closer to his hand, and that's cool. As you can see, with this thing continuing to spring out of my hands, it's got this bit of rope here that's tied around the weapon itself. The weapon's got some nice detail to it. It's got that swirly plastic that I've talked about in my other Beast Hunter reviews. So no two of these are exactly alike because of the way the paint falls. The darker colors actually dropped into the plastic mold. Now, you plug this thing in, and it's got a real sensitive trigger. I mean real sensitive. Okay? So you just plug this thing in, and you pull this, and the string holds onto it almost like a bit of a harpoon, and it's kind of neat. I don't hate it. And you also have this little gripper deal that opens up, and yeah, you can take another figure, or another version of yourself, and clamp it around its head and drain its data, and there, you've figured it out. Articulation on Soundwave. His head is on a ball joint, and there's also another joint inside of that, so he can do the funky chicken. But yeah, you can get some decent head movement out of Soundwave. His arm is on a swivel, then he's got a swivel hinge right here, another swivel there, and he bends at the elbow. And you also have movement right here in his hands. You do have waist articulation, which is not used in transformation, so I appreciate it. It's nice to have. His legs, you can chicken leg him, or you can do various things with the legs, so you can get some poses out of Soundwave. But with his lanky arms, you're going to look a lot like Frankenstein or like some kind of zombie half the time. It just is what it is. To get Soundwave transformed, we're going to go ahead and push back his backpack. We're going to lift this guy out, just like that. We're going to take his head and tuck it all the way back in, so that when you close this up, you can get it flat right up against the back, just like that. Then you're going to take his arms, separate the shoulders. You're going to move his arms together, just like that. And you're going to take his hands and you're going to move them on the inside. And one thing that's unique here is this will actually peg in. I don't know that it did that on the first figure, and quite frankly, I'm too lazy to go pick him up again. But you just slot that inside. So there you know that you're done. Do the same thing on the other side, rinse and repeat, and get that one all slotted in, and you're good to go right there. We'll go ahead and flip them around, and you want to go ahead and just bend these things, just like that, and slot everything together. And these are ultimately going to peg in here, which we'll do in just a moment. You're going to take these toes, or the feet, and you're going to bend these parts up, and you're going to reach back here and grab the back of the leg, which will form the front of this plane, or bird. We'll get to that in a minute. And so once you kind of marry these up together, you can go ahead and peg the two legs together. And there's a couple of pegs. There's one here and one there. And a couple of slots right there and right there. And there's another peg here. You just need to slot everything up. You also have a bit of a landing gear here. So if you want to go ahead and pull that out now, you can. And then go ahead and slot everything up. To finish transformation, all you need to do is take these wings and slot them into these sides here. And if things come unpegged, just put them back. Put them back. And here we have the complete transformation of Beast Hunter's Soundwave. Now, this to me looks pretty cool. I really like this. I really like this a lot. He really has this kind of a bird look to him. I mean, he's got basically what looks like a beak with a dark front and not dark this part. He's got gold paint. He's got a real nice paint trim on him. The Decepticon symbols end up pointing at a bit of an angle, but that's not terrible. He's got the beast spikes that are gold and the yellow paint here. Yellow paint on the other side of the wing and nothing in the back. He does also have the dropped-in in-plastic swirly paint, again making each of these figures unique. I've got more on my right tail or left tail depending on how you're holding him. So that's a very, very neat look, and I like that a lot. Now, there are some things that you can do with this figure in his plane mode. You can attach Ravage, and I'm telling you, when I just picked him up, he looks like a frog on Frogger, crossing the road and hopping on barrels and stuff. But you can put Ravage in plane mode. You just need to flip the arms around a bit. So you'll remember in his robot form, Ravage sat just like this and his front paws were up. All right, in plane mode, you need to put these front paws down. Peg him in there the right way. But put his front paws down so that you can actually balance this plane. So that's how you attach Ravage. Now, you can also take the weapon and you can peg this right here on the top, which is not a horrible look. I've seen worse. You can also take this, and if you want to move Ravage out of the way here, you can take this and you can slot this in the place where Ravage was. And now you've got something really interesting. This thing really takes on bird mode here, because what you have is this talon coming down, and he's going to swoop down and pick up the Frogger, you know, yeah. Anyway, he's going to swoop down, he's going to grab Ravage, and he's going to take off and have dinner. I mean, it's what it looks like. So you've got this very neat claw mode. You know, the problem with it, really the only issue I see, is the fact that you can't really put them on your shelf that way, you know, unless you had a plane stand, which you might. I don't, so he's not going to stay like that. So overall, you have a repaint/retool that works fairly well. I would say that if you don't have Soundwave from the first version of Transformers Prime, this one would be worth your time and money. If you already have that first one, your mileage may vary depending on whether or not you're really into this look for the figure or not. The same flaws that Soundwave had in his RID version sort of carry over to this. He's got the lanky legs and such, but if that doesn't bother you and you like your Soundwave to look a bit more unique, then I think this might just be the way to go. So thank you again for your support. Thank you for watching. This is eBEFOREi Video Reviews saying we'll see you here next time real soon.